Welcome, my soft-thinking listener. You've found yourself in the company of the Sleepy Sloth once again. A slow, scientifically minded fellow, who enjoys facts, ancient instruments, and things that hum quietly through the corridors of time. I must tell you something before we begin. Today, I consider myself a scientist in new and prehistoric sound-making devices. A scientist who is almost always correct, except for those few times when I am not. But even then, I prefer to drift gently onward, rather than fuss over it. Because what truly matters is the information itself. Before I start, please, let me know. What is the most boring thing you would secretly love hearing about? Let me know gently, in the comments. Now, let us begin today's episode of Instruments, the slow songs of the distant past. Imagine, if you will, a world tens of thousands of years ago, where the hum of the natural environment was occasionally interrupted by the soft calls of humans attempting to echo the sounds around them. Our journey begins roughly 40,000 years ago with the Paleolithic bone flute, a delicately carved instrument fashioned from bird bones or mammoth ivory. These flutes, often measuring just a few inches long, bear tiny holes which, when covered or uncovered by gentle fingers, produce the faintest melodies. The choice of bone is not arbitrary. The density and smooth texture create a soft, mellow tone that seems almost to whisper through the vast, empty landscapes of Ice Age forests. You might imagine the flute sound curling around ancient campfires, blending with the crackle of flames and the rustling leaves. Interestingly, many of these flutes have been found with multiple holes, allowing early humans to play different notes and even simple scales. The manufacturing process was painstakingly slow, often involving grinding, drilling, and polishing, which suggests these instruments held special significance, perhaps in ritual or storytelling. The bones used were carefully selected for their size and hollow nature, often from birds like swans or vultures, whose bones provided the ideal resonance. This delicate art of crafting a bone flute reveals not only a musical impulse but a sophisticated understanding of materials and sound among our distant ancestors. But let us float gently onward to around 30,000 years ago, where the conch shell trumpet makes its appearance. Made from large seashells, often the shells of large marine snails, these instruments were hollowed and sometimes trimmed to create a mouthpiece, allowing sound to travel through their spiral chambers. The resulting tone is deep and resonant, more like a distant call across water or through the wind, rather than a tuneful melody. These trumpets were likely used as signaling devices, a soft, long-reaching call to friends or family. The seashell's spiral shape, a natural acoustic marvel, amplifies and enriches the sound waves, gently pushing them through the air in slow, rolling waves. What's fascinating is that the conch shell's design mimics certain acoustic principles found in modern brass instruments, despite its wholly natural origin. The surface and thickness of the shell influence the tonal quality, with larger shells producing lower, more resonant sounds. Archaeological finds in various parts of the world suggest the conch trumpet's use was widespread, from coastal Asia to the Mediterranean, indicating a shared human impulse to transform natural objects into tools for communication and ceremony. The ritualistic and possibly spiritual significance of the conch trumpet's sound, echoing across open landscapes or near water, must have been a calming, yet powerful presence for ancient peoples. Next, drifting lazily to 25,000 years ago, we find the didgeridoo, a wooden wind instrument developed by the Aboriginal peoples of Australia. While its precise origins are hard to pinpoint, it's fascinating to note that its sound is produced by vibrating the lips and using a special breathing technique called circular breathing, allowing an uninterrupted, low droning sound to flow forth like a slow river. The didgeridoo's timbre is deep and hollow, almost like the wind sighing through ancient eucalyptus leaves, carrying an echo of the earth's heartbeat. Its length and shape subtly influence the pitch and tone, inviting the listener to float in its steady, meditative hum. Traditionally made from eucalyptus branches hollowed out by termites, each didgeridoo's unique form is a result of natural processes and human shaping, making every instrument one of a kind. The sound produced can last for several minutes on a single breath due to the circular breathing technique, a practice requiring significant skill and patience. Beyond music, the didgeridoo holds cultural and spiritual significance within Aboriginal traditions, often used in ceremonial contexts, storytelling, and healing rituals. The slow vibration of its sound waves is said to connect listeners deeply with the natural world, reinforcing a sense of calm and timelessness. Continuing onward, about 20,000 years ago, humans began making primitive drums from hollow logs and stretched animal skins. These early percussion instruments are notable for their simplicity and reliance on natural materials that age and absorb sound uniquely. The hollow log acts as a resonating chamber, while the tightly bound skin surface produces a muted, earthy thump when struck. This sound is not sharp or startling, but rather a soft heartbeat, echoing the rhythms of life itself. The drum's tone is deeply connected to its environment, the type of wood, the thickness of the skin, even the humidity can subtly change the sound, making each drum a living instrument that breathes with the world around it. Crafting such drums required knowledge of drying and tensioning animal skins, which often involved scraping and stretching to achieve the right tautness. Different animal skins, deer, elk, or buffalo, offered varying textures and thicknesses, subtly influencing the drum's resonance and sustain. The wood chosen for the drum's body was usually hollowed naturally by decay or insects, or carved carefully, allowing the air inside to amplify the sound gently. These drums likely served not only as musical instruments but as tools for marking time, coordinating group activities, and deepening communal bonds through shared rhythms. Now, let us drift, ever so slowly, to approximately 12,000 years ago, to the humble rattle. Simple percussion instruments, often made from dried gourds or shells filled with seeds or small stones, these rattles produce gentle, intermittent shaking sounds. The rattle's sound is soft and sporadic, like a slow, gentle rain on dry leaves. The choice of filler material affects the quality of the sound profoundly. Tiny seeds create a whispering rattle, while larger stones offer a more pronounced tapping. These rattles were likely used in ritualistic or communal settings, their delicate noise weaving a subtle background to the soft murmurs of prehistoric gatherings. The crafting of rattles involved not only drying and hollowing gourds but also selecting specific seeds or pebbles for their tonal properties. Some rattles were made with multiple compartments or layered shells to create a richer, more complex soundscape. The rhythm of a rattle could be controlled by the shaker's hand, producing patterns that mirrored natural sounds like raindrops or rustling grass. These soft, repetitive noises may have served to soothe groups during ceremonies or social gatherings, weaving a gentle auditory thread that connected participants and shared moments of quiet contemplation. Ah, now we arrive at the softly plucked strings of the ancient lyre, emerging quietly about 9,000 years ago in human history. This gentle string instrument is distinguished by its small resonator body, often crafted from wood or tortoise shell, over which stretched gut or plant fibers were delicately strung. The lyre's shape is modest, with two upright arms connected by a crossbar, from which the strings run downward, inviting tender fingers to coax out slow, vibrating notes. Imagine the faint twang of these strings resonating through early villages, the subtle echoes mingling with the whispering winds and rustling leaves. The lyre was not a grand instrument but a companion for soft melodies, perhaps used in quiet storytelling or gentle rituals. Its construction required careful tuning, often with pegs that could be adjusted by hand, allowing for variations in pitch that created a soothing, harmonic atmosphere. The materials, chosen for their natural resonance and durability, gave the lyre a warm, hollow sound, like a bird softly calling in the distance. This instrument holds a special place in human history as one of the first devices to blend craftsmanship with musical expression, weaving sound gently into everyday life. Turning our attention to the harp, appearing around 8,000 years ago, we find an ancient plucked string instrument characterized by its elegant triangular frame. Unlike the lyre's compact form, the harp's frame stretches upward and outward, with numerous strings of varying lengths suspended vertically. These strings, typically made from animal gut or plant fibers, were plucked with slow, deliberate motions, producing shimmering, cascading tones that might drift softly over ancient fields or inside quiet shelters. The harp's design cleverly balances tension and resonance, with the frame supporting the pulling force of the strings, ensuring they vibrate freely without snapping. Early harps were often small enough to cradle in the lap or hold against the body, allowing musicians to cradle their music gently like a whisper. The slow, flowing sound of the harp likely lent itself to lullabies or meditative melodies, inviting listeners into a serene, reflective state. Its triangular shape echoes natural geometries found in leaves and spider webs, reinforcing the instrument's connection to the quiet patterns of nature's design. The harp's delicate voice would have been a tender companion in moments of rest or ritual, offering a soothing sonic embrace. Now, let us take a soft detour into the curious world of the bullroarer, a wooden instrument whose sound travels through the air with a low, roaring hum. Emerging approximately 7,000 years ago, the bullroarer is a slender, flat piece of wood attached to a cord, swung in wide arcs to generate vibrations. The sound it produces is not melodic but a deep, pulsating roar, reminiscent of wind rushing through trees or distant thunder. This instrument's effect depends greatly on the speed and length of the swing, as well as the shape and thickness of the wooden piece. The sound waves ripple through the air in slow pulses, carrying far across open landscapes, perhaps used to signal or to connect groups over great distances. The bull roarer's creation required a keen understanding of aerodynamics, even if unspoken, as its maker shaped the wood to optimize sound. Its haunting, droning roar might have evoked a sense of awe or calm, blending with natural elements like rustling grasses and distant animal calls. The bull roarer is a beautiful example of how simple materials and gentle human motion can conjure mysterious sounds that echo through time and space. Drifting gently forward, we find the clay drum, a percussion instrument emerging about 6,000 years ago. Unlike the wooden drums we discussed earlier, these drums had resonators fashioned from hardened clay, topped with tightly stretched animal skins that served as the drumhead. The clay body, often shaped into rounded or cylindrical forms, resonated softly when struck, producing a warm, muffled thump, distinct from the sharper tones of wooden drums. The crafting process for these drums involved delicate shaping and firing of the clay to prevent cracking, ensuring durability and a pleasing acoustic quality. The animal skins, usually from goats or deer, were meticulously dried and stretched, sometimes fastened with cords or leather strips to maintain tension. The clay drum's sound is slow and muted, more like a gentle heartbeat than a sharp beat, and would have blended harmoniously with other early instruments or vocal chants. This instrument likely held special significance in ritual or communal music making, its subtle tone grounding gatherings in steady, calming rhythms that echoed the natural cycles of earth and life. Now, we find ourselves among the jingling sounds of the sistrum, an Egyptian percussion instrument that emerged around 5,000 years ago. The sistrum consists of a U-shaped frame, often made of metal or wood, with a crossbar holding loose metal discs or loops that gently rattle when shaken. This soft jingle is rhythmic and delicate, producing a light, tinkling sound that might be likened to the faint rustling of dry leaves or the whisper of small bells on a gentle breeze. In ancient Egyptian culture, the sistrum was more than an instrument, it was a ritual object, closely associated with ceremonies and the invocation of divine presence. The gentle shaking motion required to play the sistrum invites a slow, rhythmic movement, as the sound drifts through temple halls or quiet outdoor ceremonies. The metal disc's careful arrangement allows for a layered cascade of sounds, some sharp and crisp, others muted and warm, combining into a continuous shimmer. Its use was believed to appease spirits or accompany chants, casting a soft, sonic veil that eased minds and hearts. The sistrum's tinkling voice, so soft and persistent, continues to echo softly through the corridors of history, inviting us to listen with gentle attention. Around 4,000 years ago, a most peculiar and ancient instrument made its presence known, the shofar, crafted from a ram's horn and used as a horn instrument in Jewish traditions. This curved horn, naturally hollowed and sometimes intricately polished, produces a rich, resonant sound when blown into a deep call that reverberates slowly through quiet spaces like a soft echo of ancient wilderness. The shofar's tone is neither melodic nor complex, rather, it emits a series of slow, breathy blasts, varying in length and intensity depending on how the breath is controlled. What makes the shofar truly fascinating is its symbolic importance. It is often sounded during religious ceremonies, calling people to reflection and gathering, yet its sound itself remains simple, raw, and unadorned. The natural shape of the horn creates a narrow, conical tube that shapes the airflow into powerful, primal sounds. Crafting a shofar involves cleaning, shaping, and sometimes polishing the horn, though no artificial holes or keys alter the sound, preserving its natural, earthy timbre. You might imagine this ancient instrument's voice drifting gently across the desert sands or echoing softly within stone sanctuaries, its slow, haunting calls inviting quiet contemplation and connection to the past. Moving forward in time to roughly 3,500 years ago, we encounter the bronze trumpet, an instrument born from the transition between natural horns and early metalworking. This trumpet, crafted from bronze, a durable alloy of copper and tin, represents an important technological leap, enabling the creation of a more standardized, hollow tube with a flared bell, capable of projecting sound with greater clarity and volume. Unlike the organic, somewhat unpredictable tones of animal horns, the bronze trumpet produced a clearer, sharper sound, though still not overly complex or melodic. The player's lips vibrate against the mouthpiece, causing the air column inside to resonate, producing notes that can carry far across open plains or gatherings. The metal surface also subtly shapes the timbre, adding a bright, metallic sheen to the sound. These early trumpets often lacked valves or keys, meaning that only a limited series of notes, often the harmonic series, were available, resulting in slow, stately calls and signals rather than rapid melodies. The making of such an instrument required advanced knowledge of metal casting and shaping, and its use likely extended to military signals or ceremonial announcements, where the deliberate, measured sound could ripple through crowds and quiet fields alike. About 3,000 years ago, the bagpipe emerged as a fascinating wind instrument that stores air in a bag, allowing for a continuous, uninterrupted sound. This early version involved a bag made from animal hide or bladder, which the player inflates by blowing air in, then squeezes gently to maintain steady airflow through one or more pipes fitted with reeds. The bagpipe's unique characteristic lies in this air reservoir, enabling a drone, a constant, low-pitched hum, while the melody pipe, or chanter, plays slower, softer notes above it. The interplay of these sounds creates a layered, hypnotic texture, a gentle wash of sound reminiscent of distant rivers flowing steadily or soft wind weaving through tree branches. Crafting such an instrument involved not only working with wood for the pipes but also delicate leather work to form airtight bags. The reeds, made from cane or other natural fibers, must be carefully shaped and maintained to produce the desired soft buzzing. Though often associated with lively tunes today, these early bagpipes likely offered slower, more meditative sounds, perfect for quiet moments or communal gatherings where a steady sonic presence calmed the atmosphere and invited reflection. Turning to about 2,500 years ago, we find the lute, a plucked string instrument distinguished by its neck and rounded back. This instrument's design allows strings, typically made from gut, to be stretched over a flat soundboard and gently curved, hollow body, producing a mellow, warm tone when plucked slowly. The rounded back, often crafted from curved wooden ribs, acts as a resonating chamber, softly amplifying the gentle vibrations of the strings. The neck, equipped with tuning pegs, gives the player control over string tension, and thus pitch, allowing for slow, deliberate melodies that drift quietly into the surrounding air like soft whispers in a mossy glen. The lute structure invites tender finger movements, each pluck releasing a soft, shimmering sound that fades slowly, blending with the stillness of the moment. These instruments were often small enough to hold comfortably in the lap or against the chest, making intimate music possible, suited to quiet reflection or storytelling. The careful craftsmanship involved in shaping and assembling the lute's curved surfaces demonstrates a deep human appreciation for subtle sound and gentle resonance. Approximately 2,000 years ago, the zither came into quiet existence, an instrument characterized by strings stretched across a flat, often wooden, body. Unlike the lute, the zither has no neck. Its strings are aligned parallel and run over a flat soundboard, producing soft, sustained notes when plucked or struck. The zither's sound is delicate and shimmering, reminiscent of light filtering through leaves or the gentle ripple of water over smooth stones. The materials used, typically wood for the body and gut or metal for the strings, combine to create a texture of sound that is both intimate and diffuse. Playing the zither involves careful finger movements, often slow and deliberate, drawing out each note so that it lingers in the air with a calm persistence. The instrument's flat shape also allows for multiple strings to be played simultaneously, creating subtle harmonic layers that unfold softly, like the quiet unfolding of a fern. The zither likely found its place in serene settings, accompanying storytelling or quiet ceremonies, where its gentle voice could weave a comforting soundscape of muted chords and tender harmonies. In a more mechanically curious turn, the hurdy-gurdy appears about 1,800 years ago, a string instrument that produces sound through a hand-cranked wheel that bows the strings continuously. This ingenious device replaces the bow of a violin with a rotating wheel covered in rosined material, which, when turned slowly by the player, creates a steady drone beneath melodies played on a keyboard-like mechanism. The hurdy-gurdy's sound is layered and soft, with a slow, humming quality that can be likened to the gentle turning of gears or the rhythmic motion of a slow river current. The player's fingers press keys to shorten strings, changing pitches in a quiet, gradual manner rather than abrupt changes. The instrument's wooden body, often richly carved and hollowed for resonance, adds warmth and depth to the tone, while the cranking motion requires a measured, almost meditative pace. Unlike bowed or plucked string instruments, the hurdy-gurdy's continuous drone invites listeners into a hypnotic state, a sonic landscape where slow mechanical movement and delicate vibration merge into one soft, mesmerizing hum. Around 1,600 years ago, in the sun-dappled landscapes of ancient Greece, the salpinx came into use, a bronze trumpet that bore the weight of both ceremony and signal. Crafted with a long, slender tube ending in a flared bell, this instrument was designed to project sound across open spaces, whether on battlefields or during public gatherings. The salpinx produced a sharp, penetrating tone, but not one meant for elaborate melodies. Instead, its sound consisted of measured calls and fanfares, slow and deliberate, like the measured pulse of a quiet heartbeat heard through ancient marble halls. The metal, typically a bronze alloy, was carefully cast and hammered, its surface smooth and cool to the touch. Players would blow into a small mouthpiece, shaping the breath to vibrate the instrument's column of air, producing tones that could echo faintly over hills and valleys. The salpinx's role was utilitarian, yet its voice held a gentle nobility, soft enough not to startle, but clear enough to guide and gather. Imagine the sound rising quietly above olive groves, weaving slowly through columns and courtyards, a solemn whisper in the air of antiquity. Not far behind, roughly 1,500 years ago, the tambourine entered human hands as a handheld percussion instrument adorned with delicate jingles. Crafted from a wooden frame, often circular and lightweight, the tambourine features small metal discs set into slots around its circumference, which gently clink and shimmer when shaken or struck. The drumhead itself, traditionally made from stretched animal skin, adds a soft, muted thump beneath the brighter jingle sounds. Playing the tambourine is a tactile, rhythmic experience, each gentle shake or tap releasing a cascade of soft metallic echoes, like raindrops glimmering on a still pond. The instrument's portability allowed it to accompany dancers, singers, and storytellers, embedding a subtle, percussive pulse into celebrations or quiet ceremonies. The jingle's delicate chime varies depending on their metal composition and size, some creating a high, sparkling tintinnabulation, others a warmer, more subdued rattle. Its sounds swirled gently, blending into the background of festivities or meditative moments, inviting slow, rhythmic sways or soft footfalls on mossy earth. Turning attention now to the double-reed woodwind known as the oboe, or its medieval ancestor the shawm, we find an instrument emerging approximately 1,400 years ago with a haunting, plaintive voice. The oboe's sound arises from two slender reeds vibrating against one another, producing a steady, penetrating tone that floats slowly through air like a mist over still waters. The shawm, a predecessor of the modern oboe, was constructed from wood, often boxwood or plum, and featured a conical bore that amplified its rich, yet somewhat nasal timbre. This instrument required gentle breath control and delicate finger placement to coax forth its slow, mournful melodies. Rather than quick flourishes, the oboe's notes lingered, stretching quietly as if reluctant to leave the listener's ear. Its voice is evocative of quiet twilight moments in forests or the soft murmur of brooks hidden among ancient stones. Playing the oboe or shawm demanded patience and subtlety, with each slow phrase inviting deep listening, like a soft sigh drifting through leaves in a cool breeze. Its sound was often woven into early ensembles, blending seamlessly with other gentle instruments to create calm, reflective soundscapes. About 1,300 years ago, in the regions of West Africa, the djembe took form, a goblet-shaped drum carved from a single piece of hardwood and topped with animal skin stretched tightly to create its drumhead. The djembe's sound is complex yet slow to emerge, with a deep bass that resonates like a soft thump against earth, followed by higher, muted slaps that settle like falling leaves on forest floors. The drum's hollow body acts as a natural amplifier, enhancing the warm vibrations of the stretched skin, which is traditionally goat hide, prized for its elasticity and tone. The djembe is played with bare hands, inviting a tactile connection between the player and the instrument, each gentle strike coaxing a different shade of sound, from a subtle rumble to a quiet, crisp tap. Beyond music, the djembe carries cultural significance, often accompanying communal storytelling, dance, or ritual. Its rhythms, though intricate, can unfold at a slow, measured pace, allowing listeners to sink into a peaceful trance-like state. One might imagine the djembe's voice meandering through shaded groves, a soft conversation between earth and air, inviting calm reflection. Moving forward to around 1,200 years ago, the flageolet emerges, a medieval ducked flute with a simple, elongated wooden body and finger holes running along its length. This small, soft-spoken instrument produces gentle, breathy tones when air is blown into its mouthpiece, guided carefully through a channel or duct to vibrate the air column inside. The flageolet's voice is quiet and airy, like a soft breeze rustling through tall grass or the faint sigh of a distant bird settling into twilight. Its relatively simple construction made it accessible, and the tone, while not bright or brash, carries a clear, tender quality suited to slow, delicate melodies. Unlike larger flutes, the flageolet's sound lacks sharpness or urgency, inviting listeners to close their eyes and let their thoughts wander on lazy currents of sound. Finger placement and breath control allow subtle variations in pitch and volume, producing a soothing palette of notes that blend smoothly. The flageolet's soft, ethereal timbre would have been a gentle companion in quiet chambers or under starry skies, weaving slow, serene melodies that linger like a fading dream. At approximately 1,100 years ago, the medieval lute rose in popularity across Europe as a favored plucked string instrument. Its design features a rounded back crafted from curved wooden ribs and a flat soundboard over which gut strings are stretched. The player's fingers pluck these strings slowly, drawing out warm, mellow tones that ripple softly through the still air. The lute's neck, fitted with tuning pegs, allows for delicate adjustments, and its intimate size makes it perfect for solitary music making or small gatherings. The sound produced is smooth and lingering, much like sunlight filtering softly through the canopy of a mossy forest, creating an atmosphere of calm and quiet contemplation. The lute's construction involves meticulous craftsmanship, with wood carefully selected for resonance and shaped to enhance gentle vibrations. Its strings respond to the lightest touch, releasing notes that shimmer briefly before dissolving into silence. In medieval courts or humble chambers alike, the lute's tender voice would have been a soothing presence, encouraging slow, thoughtful reflection or gentle storytelling through music. Around 1,000 years ago in the Indian subcontinent, the tabla emerged as a pair of hand drums notable for their finely tuned pitches and subtle tonal nuances. Unlike many percussion instruments that produce a single, unvarying sound, each drum of the tabla set, the smaller dayan and the larger bayan, was carefully tuned to specific notes using tension-adjusting leather straps and small wooden blocks placed under the drumhead. The drumheads themselves were made from carefully layered animal skins, with a central black spot of iron filings and starch paste called the sahi, which creates the tabla's distinctive, melodious overtones. The player uses fingers and palms in a variety of precise techniques to elicit a broad palette of soft, resonant sounds ranging from deep, muted thumps to crisp, ringing taps. The tabla's sound is nuanced and gentle, like raindrops falling on dry earth or the subtle ripple of a quiet stream, with rhythmic patterns that unfold slowly, inviting listeners to drift into a state of calm attention. This instrument became essential in Indian classical music, accompanying vocalists and instrumentalists with its tender, breathing presence. The tabla's ability to blend melody and rhythm softly makes it not only a musical instrument but also a tool for meditation and reflection, its sounds unfolding slowly like a soft, rolling fog over a tranquil landscape. Just a century later, the bassoon took form as a double-reed woodwind instrument with a warm, deep voice that fills quiet spaces with slow, sonorous tones. This instrument's long, wooden body bends back on itself, creating a winding tube that amplifies the soft vibrations produced when air passes between two carefully carved reeds vibrating gently against each other. The bassoon's voice is rich and mellow, often likened to the murmur of a slow-moving river or the gentle rustling of autumn leaves across a mossy forest floor. Its range extends from low, earthy notes to higher, plaintive calls, but each note is released with deliberate care and a softness that encourages calm listening. Playing the bassoon requires a delicate breath and slow finger movements over its many keys, allowing the musician to navigate gradually through its tender melodies. Unlike louder woodwinds, the bassoon's sound is never harsh or urgent. Instead, it invites a quiet, lingering presence in musical ensembles, often supporting other instruments like a warm, reassuring shadow. The bassoon's construction, involving precise wooden craftsmanship and reed making, reflects a deep understanding of acoustic subtleties, resulting in an instrument whose slow, steady voice is both comforting and enveloping. Somewhat earlier than this, around 800 years ago, the violin emerged as an early bowed string instrument, beginning its long journey toward a voice that would eventually fill concert halls with rich, emotive sound. The violin's wooden body, carefully carved and shaped with graceful curves, acts as a resonating chamber for the gentle vibrations produced when a horsehair bow is drawn slowly across tightly stretched gut or later synthetic strings. Early violins produced soft, warm tones that floated lightly through the air like feathers drifting lazily downward, each note fading gradually into silence. The instrument's compact size allows for intimate playing, where fingers press strings along a fingerboard to alter pitch in a slow, deliberate manner. Crafting violins involved precise woodworking, varnishing, and string making, all aimed at coaxing out the most tender sound possible. While the violin would one day be capable of virtuosic, rapid melodies, its earliest voices were more modest, lending themselves to reflective tunes and gentle dances in quiet courtly rooms. The slow drawing of the bow and the warm wooden resonance together create a soothing sonic tapestry, inviting listeners to close their eyes and imagine softly turning gears or gently flowing streams. Moving to a simpler kind of wind instrument, the penny whistle appeared roughly 700 years ago, a small woodwind featuring a fipple mouthpiece, similar to a recorder. This instrument's straightforward design, a slender wooden or metal tube with finger holes, produced soft, clear tones when air was blown gently into its mouthpiece, where a narrow channel directs the air to vibrate against an edge. The penny whistle's voice is light and airy, evoking images of floating feathers or soft breezes through tall grass. Its simple construction made it widely accessible, used in folk music and quiet storytelling, offering a slow, sweet melody that unfolds leisurely, note by note. The softness of its tone, lacking the sharp edge of more complex wind instruments, invites a relaxed, meditative listening experience. Players could vary breath pressure and finger placement to shape slow, tender melodies, often weaving them into the natural sounds of the countryside. The penny whistle's gentle, steady voice was a comforting presence in the lives of many, carrying slow songs that echoed the calm rhythms of nature's own breathing. About 600 years ago, the natural trumpet gained prominence as a valveless brass instrument, consisting of a long, coiled metal tube ending in a flared bell. Without valves to change pitch, the player's lips alone controlled the notes produced, resulting in a limited series of slow, powerful calls and harmonic tones. The sound of the natural trumpet is clear but not overly bright, more like a distant, steady call through open fields than a rapid melody. This instrument required careful breath control and subtle lip tension, making its notes deliberate and spaced out, with gentle rises and falls that drift like slow clouds across the sky. The trumpet's brass surface reflected light softly, and its sound carried over long distances, often used in ceremonial or military contexts to signal or mark time. The absence of valves meant that musicians relied on natural harmonics, creating a slow sequence of notes that invited listeners into a tranquil, spacious soundscape. The natural trumpet's voice is noble yet soothing, a quiet herald in the calm unfolding of human history. Some centuries after, the timpani emerged as a set of tuned kettle drums, each consisting of a large copper bowl covered with a taut animal skin, stretched carefully to produce precise pitches. These drums could be softly struck with padded mallets, releasing warm, rounded tones that resonated gently through halls and open spaces. The player could adjust the tension of the drumhead using a foot pedal or tuning screws, allowing for slow, subtle changes in pitch and tone. The timpani's sound is deep and comforting, more like a soft heartbeat than a sharp drum beat, echoing steadily like the slow turning of gears in a quiet workshop. The crafting of timpani required metalworking skills for shaping the copper bowl and careful preparation of the skins, ensuring an even, smooth surface for consistent sound production. Often used in orchestras or ceremonial music, timpani provide a slow, steady foundation beneath other instruments, their gentle pulse encouraging calm, reflective listening. The warmth and control of the timpani's voice make it a uniquely soothing percussion instrument, inviting listeners to sink into the slow, measured flow of sound. Around 400 years ago, the clavichord came softly into the world, a gentle keyboard instrument that produces sound through delicate metal blades called tangents striking strings when keys are pressed. Unlike louder keyboard instruments, the clavichord's voice is quiet and intimate, like a faint murmur in a shaded grove or the soft tapping of rain on wooden leaves. Each key's press sends a tangent gently to touch a string, causing it to vibrate slowly and subtly, releasing notes that are warm and lingering, yet never overwhelming. This instrument allowed musicians to control dynamics and pitch with tender sensitivity, even enabling slow vibrato by rocking the finger on a key, a soft trembling effect rarely found elsewhere. Crafted from wood and metal, with careful attention to smooth action and quiet resonance, the clavichord invites close, meditative listening. Its sound is best suited to private rooms or tranquil corners, where the faint notes can be savored like whispered secrets shared beneath moss-covered branches. The clavichord's subtle voice encourages patience and quiet reflection, creating a sonic atmosphere as soothing and gentle as a slowly turning gear in a sunlit workshop. About 300 years ago, the marimba appeared as a percussion instrument consisting of wooden bars arranged like a keyboard and struck with soft mallets. These bars, often made from carefully selected hardwoods such as rosewood or poetic, produce mellow, warm tones that resonate deeply yet softly, reminiscent of sunlight filtering through thick forest canopy onto the mossy floor below. The bars are suspended over resonator tubes, which amplify the gentle vibrations and add richness to the sound without harshness. When played slowly, the marimba's notes shimmer and fade like floating feathers drifting through a quiet glade, each strike releasing a sound that lingers and blends with ambient stillness. The marimba invites patient, deliberate playing, notes unfolding one by one in a soothing, rhythmic pattern. Its origins trace back to African musical traditions, where the instrument provided a calming, meditative voice for communal gatherings and storytelling. The craftsmanship involved in tuning the wooden bars and crafting resonators is meticulous, aiming to coax the softest, most mellow tones possible. In a slow, dreamlike setting, the marimba's gentle hum offers a soundscape both earthy and tender, wrapping listeners in a warm embrace of sound and silence. Not long after, the clarinet came into being as a single-reed woodwind instrument, known for its smooth, mellow tones that emerge when air is blown through a narrow mouthpiece fitted with a single vibrating reed. This instrument's body, traditionally crafted from dark, dense woods like grenadilla, forms a long, slender tube with a series of finger holes and keys, allowing the player to produce a range of gentle, slow-moving melodies. The clarinet's voice is soft and round, often described as rich yet tender, evoking images of slow rivers winding beneath shaded banks or the quiet fluttering of autumn leaves settling on still waters. Skilled breath control and precise finger placement allow the player to coax a wide palette of subtle dynamic changes, from barely audible whispers to soft, warm phrases that unfold gradually. Unlike sharper woodwinds, the clarinet's sound floats effortlessly, inviting listeners into a calm, reflective space. Its invention marks a delicate balance between design and breath, blending simple mechanics with the complex artistry of shaping air and vibration into soothing tones that linger gently in the ear. Moving about 100 years further along, the bağlama, a Turkish long-necked lute, finds its place in gentle musical traditions. Crafted from a rounded wooden body with a long, thin neck fitted with frets, the bağlama strings, often made from steel or gut, are plucked slowly to release soft, shimmering tones that ripple like quiet waves upon a still pond. The instrument's construction allows for subtle pitch bends and ornamentations, enabling slow, expressive melodies that drift softly through the air. The bağlama's voice is warm and resonant, yet never intrusive, weaving into the fabric of traditional music with a tender intimacy that invites listeners to close their eyes and imagine sunlit hillsides or mossy groves dappled with gentle light. Its slow, deliberate playing style makes it a perfect companion for storytelling or quiet reflection, with each note floating like a feather carried on a gentle breeze. The careful crafting of the wooden body and the precise placement of frets reflect a deep human connection to sound and silence, creating an instrument whose tender voice continues to whisper softly through centuries of music and memory. At the very beginning of the Common Era, the water organ emerged as a marvel of hydraulic ingenuity, a keyboard instrument powered not by breath or strings alone, but by the flow of water creating air pressure to sound its pipes. This gentle mechanism relies on water flowing through a system of bellows and pipes, producing slow, sustained tones that drift through the air like soft ripples across a quiet lake. Each key, when pressed, opens a valve allowing air to pass into a corresponding pipe, creating a voice both steady and gentle, far removed from the sharpness of other early keyboard instruments. The water organ's sound is often described as ethereal and flowing, with notes that rise and fall in a smooth, continuous manner, inviting listeners to sink into a calm, watery dreamscape. Its construction involves delicate balance, pipes carefully tuned and water pressure gently regulated to maintain consistent, soothing tones. The instrument's presence in grand halls or serene gardens would have filled the air with an otherworldly hush, like slowly turning gears beneath a soft veil of mist, wrapping the listener in an embrace of tranquil, flowing sound. Around 200 years ago, the piccolo appeared as a small, high-pitched woodwind instrument, essentially a miniature flute that produces sounds an octave above its larger counterpart. Its slender, narrow body is crafted typically from metal or wood, with a simple system of finger holes and keys allowing gentle control over pitch. The piccolo's voice is light and piercing, but when played softly and slowly, its tone resembles the delicate chirping of distant birds nestled among mossy branches or the faint glimmer of sunlight filtering through early morning mist. Despite its bright character, careful breath control and tender finger movement can coax the piccolo into gentle, hovering melodies that flutter softly and fade like a feather settling slowly to the forest floor. The instrument requires precise embouchure, the shaping of lips and breath, to produce its pure, clear notes, which can drift effortlessly into the quietest corners of a soundscape. In orchestral settings, the piccolo often adds subtle highlights, but when approached with gentle intent, it invites a serene, airy presence, a delicate whisper carried on slow-moving air currents. The piccolo's small size belies its ability to paint soft, sparkling sounds that shimmer quietly, encouraging listeners to sink into a calm, restful space where sound floats lazily through time. Not long after, about 300 years ago, the early guitar made its entrance, a plucked string instrument featuring a wooden body and a neck fitted with frets, which help players slowly change the pitch of each string with delicate finger placement. The guitar's voice is warm and mellow, with strings, originally made from gut, releasing soft, resonant notes that linger like sunlight dappling through a forest canopy onto a bed of moss. Its rounded wooden body acts as a gentle amplifier, enriching each pluck with a tender, shimmering resonance that fades gradually into silence. Playing the guitar involves slow, mindful movements. Each string is plucked or strummed with care, inviting a sequence of soothing, unfolding tones that swirl softly through quiet rooms or open air. The frets allow the musician to craft gentle melodies and slow chord progressions, producing soundscapes that are both intimate and expansive, like a soft breeze weaving through leaves or the gradual turning of ancient gears. The early guitar's craftsmanship required precise woodworking and string making, each element contributing to its gentle timbre and inviting a peaceful, reflective mood. About 400 years ago, the accordion emerged, a free reed instrument powered by bellows that slowly push air through reeds housed inside a compact wooden or metal frame. This instrument's voice is created as the player gently expands and contracts the bellows, while pressing keys or buttons to open valves that allow air to flow over specific reeds. The accordion's sound can range from soft, warm drones to gently articulated notes, each produced with a slow, deliberate movement of both hands and bellows. The reeds, thin strips of metal, vibrate softly, releasing tones that ripple like the gentle patter of rain on a quiet, moss-covered roof. Its design allows for continuous airflow, making it possible to sustain notes in chords in a slow, rolling manner that invites listeners into a calm, almost hypnotic soundscape. The accordion's compact size and portability made it a favored companion for quiet dances, folk gatherings, and reflective moments, where its tender voice could weave intricate, slow-moving melodies that rise and fall like floating feathers drifting on soft winds. The craftsmanship of the reeds and bellows is meticulous, ensuring a smooth, controlled flow of air that produces sound as comforting and steady as the slow turning of gears in a gentle clockwork world. Roughly 500 years ago, the sitar emerged as an intricate Indian plucked string instrument featuring sympathetic strings that resonate quietly beneath the main playing strings. Its long neck is adorned with numerous frets, allowing for slow, nuanced pitch bends and microtonal variations that produce a deeply expressive, meditative soundscape. The sitar's voice is warm, shimmering, and layered. Each pluck releases a soft, bell-like tone that floats like the gentle ripple of water over smooth stones in a quiet river. The sympathetic strings, which vibrate in response to the main strings, add a subtle, continuous drone beneath the melodies, creating a slow, immersive sonic texture that invites deep listening and introspection. Crafted from seasoned wood such as teak or tun, the sitar's rounded resonator acts as a natural amplifier, enhancing the instrument's gentle timbre without harshness. Playing the sitar requires patient, deliberate finger movements and careful plucking with a wire plectrum called a mizrab, coaxing each note to linger softly in the air. Its slow, unfolding melodies evoke images of sun-dappled gardens or mossy forest clearings, where sound drifts effortlessly like feathers on a still breeze, wrapping listeners in a serene, meditative embrace. Approximately 600 years ago, the cello emerged as a bowed string instrument with a deep, low-pitched voice that carries warmth and gentle resonance. Its wooden body, carved with graceful curves and hollowed chambers, serves as a rich resonator for the slow vibrations created when a horsehair bow is drawn carefully across its four strings. The cello's timbre is round and full-bodied, resembling the soft hum of a slow river flowing beneath overhanging trees or the steady turning of large, wooden gears in a quiet workshop. Unlike higher-pitched string instruments, the cello produces notes that unfold slowly and linger deeply, inviting the listener into a world of calm reflection and quiet emotion. The player's fingers press the strings on a long fingerboard, allowing for gradual changes in pitch and gentle vibrato, enhancing the instrument's expressive voice. Crafting a cello requires precise woodworking, varnishing, and string selection, all aimed at achieving a balanced, soothing tone that responds to subtle nuances of touch. The cello's warm, enveloping sound can fill both intimate rooms and large halls with a slow, comforting presence, wrapping around listeners like a soft, velvety blanket drifting over a mossy forest floor. About 700 years ago, the banjo emerged as a unique string instrument deeply rooted in West African traditions and later adapted and reshaped in the Americas. Characteristically, the banjo combines a drum-like body, usually a round wooden frame covered with stretched animal skin, with a long neck fitted with frets and strings that are plucked or strummed. This fusion of percussion and string elements creates a softly resonant voice, where the gentle twang of strings mingles with the muted, warm thump of the drumhead. The banjo's sound unfolds slowly, with each plucked note releasing a soft, ringing tone that lingers like sunlight dappling through leafy branches or the faint rustle of feathers drifting through a mossy forest. Its construction allows for subtle variations in timbre depending on skin tension and string type, making it an instrument of quiet versatility. The banjo's origins connect to the instruments of enslaved African peoples, who brought their musical heritage across oceans, adapting their traditional sounds to new environments. Playing the banjo involves a gentle touch and rhythmic patience, coaxing melodies that spiral slowly and inviting calm contemplation. Imagine its voice as a soft, rolling wave, steady and warm, weaving through the tranquil spaces of history, its slow cadence encouraging listeners to settle deeply into stillness. Nearly a century later, the English horn arose as a mellow, alto range variant of the oboe, distinguished by its longer, slightly curved wooden body and a pear-shaped bell that shapes its voice. This double-reed woodwind produces a rich, warm tone that is slower and deeper than the oboes, often described as plaintive and reflective, resembling a soft sigh drifting gently through a quiet, foggy forest. The English horn sound emerges when the player carefully blows air between two thin reeds vibrating delicately against each other, creating a slow, haunting melody that unfolds with tender grace. Its finger holes and keys allow precise control over pitch, enabling the instrument to navigate gradual melodic arcs and subtle dynamic shifts. Crafted traditionally from dense woods like grenadilla, the instrument's smooth surface complements its velvety voice. Unlike more piercing woodwinds, the English horn's notes hover quietly, weaving through ensembles or solo passages with an unhurried, expressive presence. Playing the English horn requires patience and gentle breath control, shaping each phrase slowly as if painting with soft brushstrokes on the misty canvas of sound. Its voice lingers like a faint echo among moss-covered stones, inviting listeners to drift peacefully within its calm embrace. Moving forward to roughly 900 years ago, the saxophone emerged as a single-reed brass instrument, blending qualities of woodwinds and brass in a form unlike any other. Crafted from brass tubing bent into graceful curves and fitted with a single reed mouthpiece similar to a clarinet's, the saxophone produces warm, rounded tones that can be shaped with slow, deliberate breath and gentle finger movements over a complex system of keys. Its voice carries a rich, mellow quality that unfolds gradually, often evoking images of soft, golden light filtering through dense foliage or the slow, steady turning of intricate gears. Despite its brass body, the saxophone's sound is more fluid and less brassy than its cousins like trumpets or trombones, offering a soothing presence that can glide smoothly between notes without harshness. The keys enable subtle pitch modulation and vibrato, allowing players to craft gentle, lingering melodies that drift lazily like feathers carried on a soft breeze. The saxophone's invention marked a new chapter in instrument design, combining metal craftsmanship with the airy reed's breath to create an instrument whose voice invites calm, slow listening and deep relaxation. About 1,000 years ago, the modern clarinet came into being, distinguished by its chromatic key system that allows musicians to play a full range of notes smoothly and precisely. This woodwind instrument, typically fashioned from dark, dense woods such as grenadilla, features a single reed mounted on a mouthpiece that vibrates gently to create sound when air is blown through. The clarinet's voice is notably warm and rounded, capable of producing soft, mellow tones that linger slowly in the air like morning mist weaving through mossy branches or the quiet ripple of a gentle stream. The intricate arrangement of keys and tone holes provides subtle control over pitch and dynamics, enabling players to shape phrases with delicate breath and tender finger work. Its ability to transition seamlessly through registers allows for slow, expressive melodies that invite listeners into a peaceful, contemplative state. Crafting a clarinet involves precise wood turning and careful reed preparation, ensuring a balance between resonance and smooth response. Unlike more piercing woodwinds, the clarinet's voice folds gently into ensembles or solo passages, wrapping listeners in a velvety, slow-moving sonic embrace reminiscent of softly turning gears in a sunlit room. Roughly 1,100 years ago, the double bass emerged as the largest bowed string instrument, towering over its string family with a deep, resonant voice that vibrates slowly and steadily through space. Its large wooden body, carved from carefully selected woods, serves as a vast resonating chamber that amplifies the slow, rich tones created when a bow is drawn across its thick strings. The double bass's voice is profoundly warm and full-bodied, resembling the deep hum of a forest floor or the slow turning of massive wooden gears beneath an ancient clock tower. Players press the strings along a long fingerboard, altering pitch with slow, deliberate movements, while the bow's gentle pressure releases vibrations that unfold gradually, inviting a deep, meditative listening experience. Crafting a double bass requires precise woodworking and varnishing, designed to enhance the instrument's slow, soothing resonance. Its sound often forms the slow, steady foundation in orchestras or chamber ensembles, providing a comforting pulse like a heartbeat echoing through quiet, shadowed spaces. The double bass's voice lingers, wrapping around listeners in a gentle, enveloping warmth, encouraging calm reflection and restful stillness. At approximately 1,200 years ago, the trombone introduced a brass instrument with a distinctive slide mechanism, allowing players to change pitch by slowly extending or retracting a telescoping tube. This slide creates a unique voice marked by smooth, continuous glissandos and gentle, rounded tones that unfold with unhurried grace. The trombone's warm, mellow sound drifts through air like the slow flow of a gentle stream or the soft rustling of leaves stirred by a mild breeze. Unlike valved brass instruments, the trombone's slide requires precise, patient movement, enabling subtle pitch variations and expressive nuance delivered at a deliberately slow pace. Its brass body, polished to a muted shine, reflects light softly, mirroring the instrument's soothing tonal qualities. The trombone's voice is capable of gentle calls, soft fanfares, or sustained notes that linger like slowly turning gears beneath a quiet sky. Playing the trombone involves careful breath support and measured slide control, inviting listeners into a calm, expansive soundscape where every note is a slow, deliberate caress of air and metal. Around 1,300 years ago, the metal flute quietly entered the world as a transverse woodwind instrument crafted from metals like silver, gold, or brass. Unlike earlier flutes made of wood or bone, this metal construction lent the instrument a smooth, cool surface and a brighter, clearer voice. The player holds the flute horizontally, blowing across an embouchure hole near one end, causing the air to split and vibrate within the slender, hollow tube. The sound produced is soft and shimmering, like sunlight reflecting gently off still water or the subtle glint of feathers drifting through dappled forest light. Metal flutes often have a series of finger holes and keys, allowing the slow, precise shaping of melodies that unfold gradually, inviting listeners to drift along the gently flowing notes. Crafting these flutes required meticulous metalworking skills, including careful shaping, soldering, and tuning, all aimed at producing a mellow, balanced tone without harshness. The metal flute's voice, while capable of piercing clarity, is best savored when played with a tender breath and slow finger movements, creating a musical landscape as serene and reflective as softly turning gears hidden beneath mossy leaves. Its presence marked a gentle evolution in instrument design, blending material innovation with delicate artistry to create a soothing sound that floats lightly through time and space. Somewhere near 1,400 years ago, the piano began its slow evolution from earlier keyboard instruments such as the harpsichord and clavichord. This large and complex instrument combined strings stretched over a wooden soundboard with a mechanism that allows felt-covered hammers to strike the strings when keys are pressed. Unlike its predecessors, the piano offers dynamic control, soft or loud, based on the player's touch, lending its voice a rich, warm quality that swells gently or fades into a whisper. The slow, deliberate pressing of keys sends hammers to softly tap strings, producing tones that resonate like sunlight filtering through thick forest canopy or the slow ripple of water over smooth stones. Its wooden frame and soundboard are crafted with great care, designed to amplify and sustain the gentle vibrations. The piano's vast range allows for melodies and harmonies to unfold gradually in layers of soothing sound, inviting listeners to close their eyes and imagine slowly turning gears or drifting feathers carried by a soft breeze. Playing the piano involves mindful touch and patient timing, coaxing each note to bloom softly into the air, creating a calm and reflective atmosphere that gently embraces the listener. About 1,500 years ago, the Baroque guitar took its place as a five-core string instrument, meaning it typically featured 5 pairs of strings stretched over a small wooden body with a flat back and curved sides. This instrument was plucked slowly and deliberately, its voice delicate and intimate, often described as sweet and resonant like the distant ripple of a quiet stream weaving through mossy banks. The pairs of strings allowed for a shimmering, layered sound as fingers gently strummed or plucked, creating slow-moving melodies and gentle chord progressions. The Baroque guitar's construction involved fine woodworking, including the shaping of a thin soundboard and carving of an ornate rosette around the sound hole, adding visual softness to its tender voice. Its relatively small size made it a favored companion for private performances and courtly gatherings, where its subtle tones blended seamlessly with quiet conversation or reflective moments. Playing the Baroque guitar required patience and precision, coaxing out slow, intricate musical patterns that floated like feathers in a gentle breeze. The instrument's voice, while modest, was rich in texture and nuance, inviting listeners to settle into a calm, introspective space where each note turns slowly, like a well-oiled gear in a softly humming machine. Several centuries later, around 1,600 years ago, the clavichord gained popularity as a keyboard instrument known for its delicate, intimate sound. Unlike other keyboards, the clavichord produces tone by small metal blades called tangents that gently press against strings when keys are depressed. This subtle contact causes slow, warm vibrations that release soft, whispering notes, more suited to quiet rooms and solitary reflection than grand concert halls. The instrument's voice resembles the tender rustle of leaves in a shaded glen or the slow patter of raindrops on moss-covered stones. Players can create vibrato, a slight fluctuation in pitch, by rocking fingers on keys, adding a slow, expressive tremble to the notes. The clavichord's construction involves precise wooden cabinetry and delicate metalwork, all aimed at ensuring smooth action and gentle resonance. Though its volume is limited, the clavichord invites close, meditative listening, its voice a fragile thread weaving through the stillness like a slowly turning gear beneath soft light. Its tender tones encourage patience and calm, wrapping listeners in a warm, quiet embrace where sound unfolds at a gentle, unhurried pace. Around 1,700 years ago, the pipe organ rose to grandeur as a large, keyboard-driven wind instrument with a majestic presence. This complex machine channels air through rows of pipes of varying lengths and materials, wood and metal, each producing slow, sustained tones when keys are pressed or pedals engaged. The organ's voice can range from soft, delicate whispers to full, enveloping swells, but when played slowly and thoughtfully, its notes drift through space like mist curling through an ancient mossy forest or the gentle turning of massive wooden gears. The pipes are carefully voiced and tuned to ensure smooth, balanced sound without harshness, and the instrument's vast size allows for a rich layering of tones that unfold gradually over time. Operating the organ involves a deep understanding of air pressure, pipe function, and manual dexterity, allowing the musician to sculpt slow-moving musical landscapes filled with warmth and reverence. The organ's sustained, enveloping voice invites listeners to sink into calm contemplation, wrapping them gently in a sonic tapestry as soft and steady as drifting feathers or slow-moving water. About 1,800 years ago, the electric guitar began to take shape as an electrified string instrument featuring pickups, small magnets wrapped in wire that capture string vibrations and convert them into electrical signals. This innovation allowed the guitar's voice to be amplified softly or loudly, but when played gently, the electric guitar produces warm, mellow tones reminiscent of sunlight filtering through leaves or the slow ripple of water across a quiet pond. Its wooden body houses magnetic pickups beneath steel or nickel strings, and soft finger movements on the frets allow for slow, expressive melodies and gentle chordal swells. The instrument's design blends traditional craftsmanship with electronic components, creating a delicate balance between acoustic resonance and electric amplification. Playing the electric guitar softly requires careful control of volume knobs and picking intensity, coaxing notes that drift like feathers on a soft breeze or slowly turning gears humming quietly beneath a still forest canopy. The electric guitar's voice, though often associated with louder, energetic music, holds a tender side capable of slow, soothing soundscapes that invite listeners into a calm, reflective state where each note lingers softly in the air. Around 1850, the tuba made its gentle entrance into the world of low brass instruments, offering a deep, sonorous voice that vibrates slowly and warmly through the air. Crafted from brass tubing coiled into graceful loops and fitted with valves, the tuba produces sound when the player buzzes their lips against a large mouthpiece, sending vibrations through the instrument's lengthy tubing. The valves, pressed with slow, deliberate finger movements, redirect air through additional loops, changing the pitch with soft precision. The tuba's voice is round and mellow, reminiscent of a deep forest stream meandering quietly beneath moss-covered stones or the slow hum of ancient, turning gears hidden in shadowed wood. Despite its size and potential for powerful sound, the tuba can be played with a gentle breath to release slow, soothing tones that ripple softly through a calm soundscape. Its construction involves meticulous shaping and soldering of brass, polished to a warm, muted gleam that mirrors the instrument's comforting tonal qualities. The tuba's slow, enveloping voice forms a solid foundation in brass ensembles and orchestras, creating a comforting pulse like a heartbeat echoing softly through quiet woods. Its deep, steady hum encourages listeners to sink gently into calmness, where every note unfolds like a slow, deliberate caress of air and metal. Shortly after, in the 1860s, the sousaphone appeared as a mobile variant of the tuba designed to be carried easily during marching performances. Its circular shape wraps around the player's body, allowing the instrument to rest comfortably on the shoulder while the large bell projects sound forward, casting gentle, rounded tones across open air. This brass instrument shares the tuba's warm, deep voice but is crafted for movement, with tubing bent into a distinctive coil that softly gleams like slowly turning brass gears glistening beneath dappled sunlight. The sousaphone's valves operate with tender precision, guiding air through the instrument's winding path to create slow, mellow notes that drift gently like feathers falling through a quiet forest clearing. Though often associated with lively parades and marches, when played softly, the sousaphone's sound invites a calm, expansive presence, each note blooming slowly in the air, as steady and reassuring as the soft murmur of a distant river. Its design balances functionality and tone, crafting a voice both mobile and soothing, perfect for wrapping listeners in a warm, unhurried embrace of sound. By 1880, the drum kit coalesced into an assembled percussion set, a carefully arranged collection of drums, cymbals, and other percussion instruments played by a single musician. The components of the drum kit, bass drum, snare, tom-toms, hi-hat, and cymbals, each contribute distinct textures that can be shaped with slow, deliberate strikes to create soft, rhythmic pulses and gentle washes of sound. The bass drum's low, muffled thump resembles the steady heartbeat of a quiet forest floor, while the cymbal shimmering crashes can be softened to a slow, sparkling shimmer like sunlight flickering on leaves. When approached with patience and restraint, the drum kit's sounds unfold in measured patterns that invite listeners to sink into a calm, meditative groove. The arrangement of drums and cymbals is thoughtfully designed for ergonomic ease, allowing the percussionist to coax a broad palette of mellow tones with subtle wrist and finger movements. Crafting drum shells, cymbals, and drumheads involves a blend of woodworking, metallurgy, and careful tuning, each element contributing to the gentle voice of the kit. This versatile instrument, though often associated with energetic rhythms, holds a tender side, capable of slow, soothing beats that ripple softly through ambient soundscapes, wrapping listeners in a warm, rhythmic embrace. Around 1900, the steel pan emerged as a unique tuned percussion instrument crafted from carefully hammered and tuned oil drums. Originating in the Caribbean, the steel pan's concave surface is divided into distinct areas, each painstakingly shaped and tuned to produce specific pitches when struck softly with mallets wrapped in rubber or cloth. The instrument's voice is bright yet mellow, releasing clear, bell-like tones that shimmer slowly, much like sunlight dancing on ripples across a calm lagoon or the gentle ripple of a feather falling through dappled forest light. Tuning the steel pan requires patience and exacting skill, as each note area must be shaped and tempered to vibrate with a warm, resonant timbre without harshness. Played with soft, deliberate strikes, the steel pan's melodies drift lazily through the air, inviting listeners into a serene, reflective space where sound floats like slowly turning gears in a softly lit workshop. Its distinctive voice embodies a calm vibrancy, a soothing shimmer that wraps around the listener like a gentle breeze carrying the faintest sense of ocean and earth. The steel pan's origins and craftsmanship celebrate a fusion of natural materials and human creativity, crafting a sound that is both tender and shimmering. Just a decade later, around 1910, the synthesizer began to materialize as an electronic instrument capable of generating a vast array of sounds through electrical circuits and oscillators. Early synthesizers employed bulky vacuum tubes and complex wiring, allowing musicians to slowly sculpt tones from pure electronic signals that could be shaped, modulated, and layered. The synthesizer's voice is uniquely fluid and expansive, ranging from soft, humming drones to slowly evolving pads that drift gently like mist weaving through moss-covered branches or feathers floating on still air. Its sounds can mimic acoustic instruments or produce entirely new timbres, electronic whispers and slow pulses that wrap around listeners in a calm, immersive blanket of sound. Playing the synthesizer involves manipulating knobs, sliders, and keyboards to carefully shape each note's attack, decay, sustain, and release, crafting slow, meditative soundscapes. The instrument's invention marked a shift from purely mechanical or acoustic sound production toward a delicate fusion of technology and artistry. Early synthesizers required patience and subtlety to coax soft, inviting tones rather than sharp, attention-grabbing sounds. Their warm, electronic voice invites listeners to drift in a sonic dreamscape where time moves slowly, and every tone turns like a gentle gear in an endlessly humming, peaceful machine. In the softly humming era of the 1920s, the electric bass emerged as a gentle evolution of traditional string instruments, designed to carry bass lines with a calm, steady pulse. Unlike its acoustic ancestors, the electric bass employs electromagnetic pickups beneath its strings, which transform gentle vibrations into electrical signals, allowing the sound to be amplified softly or warmly as desired. Its body, often made from smooth, polished wood, cradles four thick strings stretched over frets, inviting slow, deliberate finger movements that coax deep, rounded tones from its resonant core. The electric bass's voice is a velvety undercurrent, much like the subtle murmur of a moss-covered stream flowing quietly beneath ancient branches or the soft, rhythmic turning of well-oiled gears. This instrument offers players the ability to mold slow, meditative grooves that underpin melodies without ever rushing, providing a comforting foundation for the rest of the ensemble to float upon. Its invention marked a gentle shift toward amplified sound in popular music, yet it retains a tender, soothing quality when approached with patience and delicate touch. The electric bass's slow, rolling vibrations ripple through the air, inviting listeners to drift into a calm, steady space where every note unfolds like a soft, comforting breath in a quiet forest. By the 1930s, a most unusual and ethereal instrument, the theremin, began to capture imaginations with its touchless, almost magical method of sound production. The theremin is played by moving hands near two antennas, one controlling pitch and the other controlling volume, causing electronic oscillators to generate wavering tones without physical contact. This results in a voice that glides slowly and smoothly through pitches, like a drifting feather caught in a gentle breeze or a mist curling through the branches of a silent, mossy forest. The sound is haunting yet tender, often described as otherworldly, with slow vibratos and smooth slides that invite deep contemplation and relaxation. The instrument's circuits, carefully designed with vacuum tubes and oscillators, respond subtly to hand movements, requiring slow, precise gestures to craft soft, wavering melodies that linger in the air like distant echoes. The theremin's ghostly voice defies the usual tactile connection between player and instrument, creating a calm, almost meditative performance experience where sound floats freely through space. Its slow, undulating tones wrap listeners gently in an electronic embrace, a slow dance of waves and vibrations perfectly suited to quiet moments in deep relaxation. In the 1940s, the Moog synthesizer began to weave its analog magic as one of the earliest commercially available electronic instruments capable of producing a vast palette of sounds. This bulky yet mesmerizing machine operates through voltage-controlled oscillators, filters, and envelopes, allowing musicians to sculpt slow, evolving tones with a tender, painterly touch. The Moog's voice ranges from soft, warm hums to gentle, shimmering pads that drift languidly like sunlight through a canopy of moss or the slow rotation of polished gears bathed in golden light. By manipulating an array of knobs and patched cables, players coax slow-moving soundscapes that gently ebb and flow, inviting listeners into immersive, contemplative spaces. The synthesizer's circuitry, a delicate web of analog components, breathes life into electrical signals that become softly blooming sonic textures. The Moog's slow attack and release capabilities enable gradual, hypnotic shifts in tone, offering a peaceful refuge from sharper, more abrupt sounds. Engaging with this instrument requires patience and a gentle touch, crafting melodies and drones that shimmer quietly and invite the mind to float in a calm, unhurried current. Its sound lingers like a slow, steady breeze weaving through the quiet stillness of a shadowed forest. By the 1950s, the electric violin emerged as an amplified evolution of the traditional bowed string instrument, blending classic craftsmanship with electronic enhancement. retaining the delicate, curved wooden body and long fingerboard of its acoustic predecessor. The electric violin is fitted with pickups that capture the gentle vibrations of its four strings, converting them into electrical signals that can be softly amplified. This transformation allows for sustained, warm tones that glide smoothly through the air, reminiscent of soft feathers drifting on a slow breeze or the gentle ripple of light over mossy ground. The instrument's voice can be shaped by subtle bowing pressure and finger placement, enabling slow, expressive melodies that bloom gently and dissolve quietly. Constructed with careful attention to balance and ergonomics, the electric violin invites players to explore tender dynamics and delicate phrasing without the need to project acoustically. Its amplified voice often folds into ambient soundscapes with a velvety softness, ideal for reflective listening. The electric violin, while modern in its technology, maintains the slow, deliberate grace of its acoustic origins, crafting a serene sonic journey where each note is a soft caress lingering in peaceful air. The 1960s welcomed the advent of the drum machine, an electronic rhythm device designed to generate percussion sounds mechanically and electrically. These machines feature programmed patterns and synthesized drum sounds, producing rhythmic pulses with slow, steady precision. Unlike the spontaneous strikes of a human hand on drumheads, the drum machine offers a perfectly timed, softly repeating cadence that can be adjusted in volume and tempo with patient care. Its sounds range from gentle, muted thumps and clicks to soft metallic jingles, resembling the distant tapping of raindrops on moss or the slow ticking of delicate clockwork. Early drum machines, constructed with analog circuits and simple digital controls, invited musicians to sculpt slow, hypnotic grooves that form a calm, consistent heartbeat beneath other sounds. The mechanical, repetitive nature of the drum machine's output encourages a meditative listening experience, where time seems to stretch and flow gently like feathers floating on a quiet stream. Despite its synthetic origin, the drum machine's slow, rhythmic voice can cradle listeners in a soft, soothing embrace, perfect for drifting into rest and peaceful contemplation. Emerging in the 1970s, the Chapman stick presents itself as an intriguing electric stringed instrument, distinguished by its unique method of play, tapping. Unlike traditional string instruments where strings are plucked or bowed, the Chapman stick invites the musician to press or tap the strings against the fretboard with both hands, producing notes that ring out with a soft, clear resonance. Its long, slender neck holds usually 10 or 12 strings, divided between melody and bass, allowing a player to perform multiple musical lines simultaneously in a slow, intertwining dance. The instrument's construction involves a smooth wooden body with magnetic pickups that gently amplify the vibrations, creating tones that drift slowly through the air like feathers descending over mossy ground or the gentle, measured turning of clockwork gears hidden beneath soft layers of moss. Mastery of the Chapman stick requires patience and delicate touch, as the player must carefully time and balance each tap to weave slow, intricate harmonies. Its voice carries a warm, crystalline quality, softly filling spaces with calm, reflective soundscapes. The tapping technique produces a distinct, sustained tone reminiscent of soft raindrops tapping on wooden leaves or the gentle hum of a distant river, inviting the listener to sink gently into a tranquil, meditative state where each note is a quiet caress. In the 1980s, the sampler arrived quietly on the musical scene, offering musicians the ability to record and play back sounds with patient precision. This device captures fragments of audio, anything from a softly whispered breath to the gentle pluck of a string, and allows them to be replayed at will, slowed down or sped up, layered or filtered with tender care. The sampler's capacity to loop and manipulate sounds creates a palette of textures that drift and swell softly, much like a mist weaving slowly through a forest of ancient trees or feathers floating gently on a still pond. Early samplers operated with limited memory and warm, analog circuitry, requiring musicians to be deliberate and thoughtful in their selections and edits, coaxing slow, evolving soundscapes that bloom gently over time. The act of sampling transforms ordinary sounds into musical phrases that ripple softly through space, inviting deep reflection and calm. By layering these gentle sonic fragments, the sampler invites listeners to float within a slow, enveloping river of sound, where each moment blends seamlessly into the next, like the steady turn of ancient gears wrapped in soft velvet moss. The 1990s introduced the loop station, a device that allows musicians to record short passages of sound and layer them live in real time, building intricate, slow-moving soundscapes piece by piece. This machine operates like a patient storyteller, capturing each gentle phrase and repeating it softly, while new layers quietly weave in and out, creating a tapestry of sound that unfolds gradually. Loop stations often feature pedals or buttons, enabling performers to start and stop loops with a gentle tap, sculpting rhythms and melodies that ripple slowly like soft feathers falling through dappled sunlight or the measured turning of brass gears beneath a velvet forest floor. The looping process encourages a meditative patience, as musicians layer sounds one by one, allowing each to bloom fully before adding another. The technology, evolving from simple analog tape loops to sophisticated digital systems, invites slow, careful experimentation, coaxing warm, evolving musical environments that wrap listeners in a serene embrace. The loop station's ability to create continuous, repeating soundscapes encourages a deep sense of calm, where time seems to stretch and flow gently, and every softly layered note turns slowly, like a leaf spiraling down to rest on soft earth. Emerging around the year 2000, the handpan is a steel melodic percussion instrument that invites gentle exploration through soft tapping and stroking. Its convex, UFO-like shape holds carefully tuned notes arranged in a circle, each producing warm, resonant tones when struck with fingertips or palms. The handpan's voice is a delicate shimmer, like sunlight filtering through mossy leaves or the faint ringing of distant, slow-turning metal gears. Crafting a handpan involves precise hammering and tuning of steel, creating an instrument that sings with a soft, hypnotic resonance. Playing the handpan demands slow, mindful gestures, as the performer taps each note with tenderness, allowing the sound to blossom and gently fade like a feather drifting on a quiet breeze. The instrument's meditative qualities encourage calm and introspection, creating an ambient soundscape that seems to wrap softly around listeners, drawing them into a peaceful, reflective space. Its delicate voice, both metallic and warm, resonates deeply, like the slow, measured pulse of the earth beneath a forest floor, inviting a deep and unhurried connection to the subtle rhythms of the world. Around 2005, the USB MIDI controller became a handy companion for musicians navigating the digital realm of sound creation. This device acts as a gentle bridge between human touch and computer-generated music, featuring keys, pads, or knobs that send electronic signals to software instruments. The controller itself produces no sound but serves as a soft, responsive interface, inviting slow, deliberate gestures that translate into musical notes, rhythms, or effects within a digital environment. Designed for tactile ease and precision, USB MIDI controllers often resemble miniature keyboards or pad grids, each surface smooth and inviting like mossy stone or gently worn wood. The music created through this interface can range from delicate, slowly unfolding melodies to subtle rhythmic pulses that float like feathers drifting through sun-dappled forest air. Operating a USB MIDI controller requires a patient, thoughtful touch, as each press or turn gently shapes the digital soundscape, weaving soft, evolving textures and harmonies. This marriage of human intention and electronic responsiveness allows musicians to explore unhurried sonic landscapes where every note and effect turns slowly, like the softly spinning gears of a hidden musical clockwork, enveloping listeners in a calm, immersive sonic embrace. By the dawn of the 2010s, the tablet synthesizer quietly blossomed into existence, an entirely software-based instrument nestled within the sleek, glass surfaces of modern tablets. Unlike traditional instruments made from wood or metal, this gentle marvel creates sound through lines of code and digital signal processing, responding to soft taps, slides, and presses on the smooth, luminous touchscreen. Its voice is fluid and malleable, offering slow, evolving tones that ripple like a feather's gentle fall through mossy undergrowth or the steady, turning of gears wrapped in quiet velvet. The interface invites patient exploration, where fingertips trace slow arcs in gentle swipes, coaxing melodies and drones that bloom and dissolve with tender grace. This instrument, unbound by physical strings or keys, carries the ethereal quality of sound sculpted by breath and thought, transformed into waves of calm that ripple through a digital forest. The tablet synthesizer's ability to morph and layer sound slowly unfolds new realms of sonic possibility, wrapping the listener in warm, undulating currents of music that drift effortlessly, like a soft mist weaving through a tranquil wood. It's a gentle invitation to slow down and float within the delicate interplay of touch, light, and sound. Stepping softly into 2015, the Seaboard arrived, a rolling keyboard synthesizer that reimagines the traditional piano keyboard as a smooth, continuous surface of soft, pressure-sensitive silicone. Rather than discrete, hard keys, the Seaboard's gentle expanse responds to the subtlest finger movements, allowing performers to glide, press, and shape notes with slow, fluid gestures. This flowing interface produces sound with a warm, expressive voice that blooms gradually, like the quiet unfurling of moss on ancient bark or the slow turning of copper gears in a softly lit workshop. The Seaboard's design offers musicians a tender connection to their music, blending pitch, volume, and timbre into one unhurried, seamless motion. Its electronic heart translates these nuanced touches into evolving tones that ripple slowly through space, inviting listeners into a calm, immersive sonic landscape. Mastery of the Seaboard involves a patient dance of fingers, where each delicate movement shapes the sound gently, creating melodies and harmonies that drift and hover like feathers caught in a quiet breeze. It is an instrument of soft transitions and deep expressivity, perfect for moments when time itself seems to slow. By 2018, the Reactable surfaced as an interactive electronic tabletop instrument, a circular, glowing surface that invites hands to gently explore sound by moving physical objects across its smooth face. Each object, a small puck or block, represents different sounds or effects, and as they float slowly across the tabletop, their positions and relationships morph the music in real time. This tactile, visual interface transforms music making into a quiet, mesmerizing ritual, where slow movements shape waves of sound that shimmer like light filtering through moss or feathers drifting on still air. The Reactable's soft, glowing surface and the gentle interplay of objects create a calm, collaborative environment, encouraging patient experimentation and deep listening. The instrument's software processes each interaction with meticulous care, producing lush, evolving soundscapes that bloom and fold gently, like the turning of delicate gears wrapped in a soft, velvet forest. Musicians and listeners alike find themselves drifting into tranquil sound worlds, where every subtle gesture spins slowly and surely into a warm, enveloping embrace of music and light. In the gentle unfolding of the 2020s, the AI instrument entered quietly as a virtual creation powered by artificial intelligence, capable of composing, improvising, and responding with remarkable subtlety. This ethereal instrument exists not in wood or metal, but within lines of complex algorithms and neural networks, patiently learning and crafting music from vast seas of data. Its voice flows fluidly, generating slow, evolving melodies and harmonies that shimmer softly, much like a feather drifting through the hush of mossy woods or the measured turning of fine gears in a timeless machine. The AI instrument listens and adapts, weaving musical phrases that gently unfold in real time, inviting deep reflection and calm. Its digital heart beats with a quiet intelligence, crafting soundscapes that feel both familiar and otherworldly, an unhurried dialogue between human creativity and machine thought. Engaging with such an instrument is like entering a serene partnership where time dilates, and every note ripples slowly through space, enveloping the listener in a warm, meditative sonic embrace. Here, technology and artistry merge softly, creating lullabies of code and tone that drift peacefully into the night. You may not care. And that is completely fine. There is no need to remember anything about these ancient sound makers except the peaceful thought that long before bustling cities or noisy machines, gentle human creativity found ways to whisper to the world in soft, slow sounds. Let your thoughts drift along these soft echoes, like feathers carried by a barely stirring breeze, as your mind relaxes deeper. If your eyes are closed, if your thoughts are drifting, then my job here is done for today. Thank you for spending this unremarkable moment with me. You have listened to The Sleepy Sloth, where uninteresting things become the softest lullabies.